Hello, welcome to this week's Wild Spirits News. My name is Sibylla and today I'll ask you, what if there were no money? Most people seem to associate stress with money or negative things. And when I tell them that money for me is associated with wild joy and passion, then they don't really know what to make of this other than assume that I must be rich. In reality, all I do differently for myself and also with my clients is that I'm employing an approach to money and to finances that takes the stress out of the subject. And one of the ways, there's many ways obviously to do this, it's a long process because we're programmed from childhood to react to money and to relate to money in a certain way. So there's a lot of work involved. But one of the most fun ways of changing that approach to money and that attitude to money to one of joy and passion is what if scenarios. And today I'm going to tell you about one of the most powerful of those and teach it to you. Your mission today is to align your money story with your wishes and your needs. Task number 1 is, what if there was no money? First of all, the first step to this process that I've just announced is to gain clarity. And the clarity is what you actually want in life. And to do this, I would invite you to sit comfortably and calm down for a moment. If you have to, you can pause the video. You might have to pause the video anyway because it takes a few minutes to go through this. But first, listen to the instructions. So get comfortable. And now I invite you to visualize a world in which there is no money. But rather than thinking that instead you would now barter and trade, which can be just as stressful, just imagine that this magical fairy tale land provides you with everything you could possibly want. So you need no money and you need not worry about anything ever. And now try and think of, just relax, don't try and force this, by the way. Take some time and try and think what you would do. Now, probably most of us would start with a long holiday where we enjoy every luxury on a yacht and whatever and just go over the top. But once you move past that in your everyday life, between now and the end of your life, how would you spend your days? What would you like to do in those days? What would you fill your days with? Now think in terms of passions, obviously things that light you up, people that you love and would love around you, things that you like to do when you're on your own. What would you do on these days? And the most important thing, once you've sort of intuitively brainstormed this stuff, then you come to the most important question, which is, how would you feel if you lived that life? If you lived in this fairy tale land where there is no money and no need for money? Try to describe, don't just say good or fantastic. Try to describe this feeling. Where is it in your body? Try to use more words for it. How would you emotionally feel about this? And that is your task number 1. Task number 2 is called to recreate the feeling. Now this feeling that you arrived at the end of the task number 1 is very important. I need you to hold on to it, to maybe write it down, this detailed description. It's really worth holding on to this because otherwise you might lose it once you're out of the visualization. Because task number 2 is to ask yourself how you could, in your present life, in the real world, not the fairy tale magic world with no money, how could you recreate this feeling? It doesn't have to do with money. It can be by anything. What would make you feel something similar to that? How could you approach this feeling? How close could you get to it? Ask yourself questions such as, what would have to happen? What would have to be different? What would you have to do differently in your day-to-day life to experience this kind of feeling? What would you have to change? How much money would you need in order to recreate this feeling? And all these are hints as to which direction you would like to take your life and how much money you would need for that. And if you want to work on that, you know where I am. I have a money program for exactly that reason. Now, one last tip before I close. It's a great way of deciding what to spend money on. If every expense that you have, every time you spend money, you pause for a short moment and ask yourself whether this purchase is aligned with this feeling that you had in your visualization, this idea, this vision of an ideal life. And the easiest way to find out if it's aligned with it is by asking your feelings. How close do you come to that feeling that you had to the emotions of your ideal life? Ask yourself that every time, and you will become much surer in deciding what is worth your money, what is worth spending money on, and what isn't. So that was task number 2. And that brings me to task number 3, which is, as usual, let me know. Hit the reply button and tell me what you think of this. This is a slightly different approach to money, isn't it? Obviously, this is just a tiny part of what I do with people in a 3-month program, like the money program, the Wild Money program. But this is one way of arriving at clarity and at incorporating things into your life, even though you might not be a millionaire. And I'm not either, by the way. So what do you think of this? Are you going to incorporate it? What is your attitude to money? How do you feel about all of this? I'll reply to every email, I promise. And if you didn't get the link to this video in an email, that means you're not part of the Wild Spirits community yet, and you should join us. Go to wildspiritscoaching.com and sign up, fill in that little form there. You'll get 1 email per week. It's 100% spam free. You'll get extra information and articles, recommendations of books and other resources, and sometimes you get exclusive offers that are only for my subscribers that nobody else ever gets to see. So go to wildspiritscoaching.com and sign up, or you can Google Wild Spirits Coaching. That'll get you to the website as well. Thank you for watching.